Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading, we're going to go deep on what you're seeking. What, as the title of this says, what are you most deeply seeking? What do you most want to find? Whether it's for your spiritual development, for some sort of healing, for connection and relationship, for success, whatever that might mean to you. We're trying to get to the core thing and what's really involved in it, and we'll have a look at what you know about this, what is unseen, all of those sort of things, and what are some of the signposts, guideposts that Spirit is sending you to help you navigate to what you're seeking, what your own personal magic will bring to that, and so forth. So we have 3 to choose from, as I usually do, putting down the numbers as I always do. And what I asked Spirit, we're using the Seeker Oracle as a key point for this, obviously, because we're talking about what you're seeking. And I shuffled and asked for each pile for one of the elements, and maybe the core elements, the kind of almost the origin story of your search at the moment. And then there's 2 other cards from this deck, and then there's a couple of other oracles to help round this out, to give us a pretty good idea about what we're looking at. And also for you to make sure that you've gone to the right reading if you're not sure at the beginning. But what may help you with that is that I think there's some pretty strong signposts from what Spirit is saying about a core part of what will be covered. So for pile number 1, we have an unfair judgment, which makes me feel that if you're drawn to pile number 1, that this probably means you either for yourself personally, or maybe it's something that you think in the world in general, it's part of what you're seeking, a cause that you might have. There's something about bringing something into balance and rectifying something that was wrong. There seems to be a cause around this, or a healing and possibly even a restoration of a more fair way of looking at things, connected somehow to pile number 1. And there will be other cards that will flesh that out, but I feel that is a key energy around pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have connection is necessary. So this could be anything from wanting to make a romantic connection, it could be around connections in your professional life, it could be spiritual connection, but that's going to be a core part of what you're seeking. For pile number 3, we have faith. This feels very spiritual, but it may also having faith in yourself, having faith in others, the sort of sense that we have of the way that card is depicted, maybe even faith in your spirit team or those that can guide you, and even what you would get from this sort of a reading. So that gives you a bit of a flavour of it. There will be more nuance to it when we look into the reading, but that hopefully will help you decide which reading to go to. All readings, by all means, go to more than one if you feel drawn to more than one. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've always got the timestamps in the description box below, so I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. Now, as I said, I feel like this right from the outset is probably dealing with something that's a little bit heavy. And I think it's sort of shown here as well too. I think though the good thing is it shows that your core and who you are is really the thing that you're seeking to reclaim, your values or something. As I say, because this could be something that's happened to you personally, or it could be something that you feel that you've observed and you want to do something. But we have unfair judgment. So there's got to be a sense of seeking rectification in some way. Nobody would sit happily with something that was unfair. So you have either experienced an unfair judgment on yourself, or you've seen it happen to those you care about, or a cause that you care about. We have undeserving villains, and we have illusory obstacles. This is showing that there are others who got something that either you should have got or others should get. There is something very core to this where maybe somebody has got a job that they didn't really deserve, and you were competing for it, or it's people who get privilege and wealth, and you can see others that are suffering, and you want to do something about that. The good news is you already know there's something illusory about all of this. You know that there is some way to break through. And so what you're seeking is how to break through the illusion that's allowed this to occur. So an example might be, as I say, it could be that you are in a workplace and somebody's been able to position themselves without really deserving the promotion, and whether you missed out or somebody you care about missed out, but you know that there's an illusion. There is a capacity here to raise this up and make it clear. So you're seeking the way to rectify that and balance it. And your core self here, this has to do with who you truly are. So whether this is you getting the recognition you should that something was illusory, something was wrong, so that you can move forward. So whether it's very, very personal, or whether it's you, part of your self is to deal with this, to see unfairness and deal with it and raise it to the surface, show what is unfair about it. Either way, you're seeking something that's very, very core to you. And the balance that Spirit is talking about in doing this is persevering, not getting discouraged by what happens, knowing this is part of your development, part of your cause, or as I say, something that you can rectify, but also letting go of the negative feelings that could hold you back or could get you in the thrall of this sort of energy. This energy feels very much like somebody else or some other people in this situation are very good at manipulating sort of the way people think, the way they feel. That's kind of a use of gaslighting or propaganda or something like that. And while you are caught in a negative feeling and you're feeling kind of downcast, they can continue with that and they can almost leverage that. But where you persevere with the truth of what you do, it becomes harder and harder for them to actually do anything. The illusion is harder to keep going. So as I say, whether this is just that this is about you seeking a way to raise your profile now when somebody has got something that you, and this is definitely where you deserve to get it. This is not you being wrong. This is not you being there are people here who have done the wrong thing or who have got an unfair advantage. But it could also be for many of you that this is something about a cause that you take on. And so you're seeking the way to rectify that and how that becomes part of your self-definition. So this is very core to who you are. Whatever you do with this is very core to who you are. So I think if you come to the right reading, you'll know what this is. You'll know whether it's a cause or whether it's something that's personally happened to you. The good news is that by not being too emotional, letting go of that side of things and focusing on just pushing through and making it clear what you have to offer or what your side has to offer is likely to win. The only thing to be aware of is the Achilles heel around if you are too emotional about the situation. So let's get some more advice from Spirit about this. So I think you're seeking a more fair outcome, basically, in some way. So let's get a little bit more about this, the quest that you're on. Then we're going to have a look at what you know and then also what you're not seeing. So firstly, a little bit more about what are you seeking here? What is this really all about? Two of Cups. Wheel of Fortune, Six of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, the Tower. Wow. Yeah, this is big. One of the things I would first say that is probably good, given that there's something unfair and illusory in this, the fact that these are all upright. I think that Spirit is saying this is very obvious. It's very out in the world. This has some very obvious outcome. There's a couple of things that could be happening here. For some of you, somebody may have got involved in a relationship of yours and literally said something that was unfair or untrue. Or you could have been involved with someone in like one side of the family or the other side of the family made an unfair judgment. Like there could be something for some of you around love with that card, and for others I think this is more around work and money. So it could be either of those things, but this is not hidden away, and that's one of the best signs I think around this, because the power of the undeserving here was hidden away. So this is yourself. There's something in this that you're going to really step up and speak your truth and deal with. So, and it's very well favored to do that. In fact, this is confirming whatever this was, whether it was a relationship, the next step up in a career, new connections, whatever it was that something took from you, you were meant to have. So it's Spirit again confirming that this is not you having sour grapes or anything like that. And if this is about something other than you, and it is part of your fortune to be the benefactor and the helper in others, you've got the right idea here. You're not beguiled by whatever the sort of propaganda is. It has been an initial setback for you or for those that you're trying to deal with. It is an isolating sort of thing. One of the energies that's operating with this sort of the undeserving villains who are going ahead to try and sort of push something through is that they isolate people. This is part of their propaganda. This is why you have to let go of the emotion, because they can play that really, really well. But this is saying that you can do a real breakthrough on this. There is something, this will shatter an edifice. So if this is in a workplace and there's been a culture that has been unfair, your clarity in this and the fact that it's really obvious that you should have, if this is a workplace, you should have had the promotion. What is wrong in this is going to be very, very obvious. That has a huge transformative impact. That's why you just have to persevere through this and focus on your truth and let go of the emotion, because it's kind of like that. This is going to have a ripple effect. It's not going to stay hidden. So what you are seeking, there's going to be an opportunity. And the main thing to do is to let go of anything that could take you into the feeling of things collapsing, to persevere for what it is that you really want to build. That's the main thing that Spirit's saying. So what do you see at the moment in this? What is very, very clear to you already about what you're seeking? Four of Swords reversed. The Emperor reversed. Okay. The King of Cups reversed. The Ace of Wands. All right. I think for most people, I mean, there could be some relationship thing there. It is absolutely possible that somebody sort of like badmouthed you or whatever, or tried to block you in a relationship. That is certainly possible. And all the same things apply, as long as you're not isolated, that you've got the energy to break through this. But I think for most, this has got to do with power. This has all got to do with power. With the Emperor reversed, you know there's a illegitimate power base operating. And you know with the Four of Swords that needs to be brought to the surface. There's almost like a healing that needs to occur in this environment. So I think for most of you, this is either political or work-based. There's something like that. There is, you know, there's an illegitimate use of power, and you know that the only way to deal with it is to hit it head on. You can't just hide away and hope for the best. You also know that it's very emotionally volatile. This is why it's saying let go of emotion. You need to be quite dispassionate about this. That brings a new idea through. That gives you the sort of strength and the sort of charisma to bring people onto your side. Any over emotional side to this will come across as weakness. This is a very tough environment, I think, or tough social issue, whatever it is. So you have to be like very passionate moving forward, but not emotional. You've got to know you're in for the long haul. But this has got to do with an abuse of power in some form or another. So what don't you see? What is unseen? If that's what is seen, what is unseen? That's important for you to know, because there is a formidable enemy here. There are people who are doing the wrong thing. So in one form or another. So there's a whole heap of power issue associated with. So what do you not see that would be helpful for you to see? Nine of Cups reversed. Page of Wands, Ace of Swords, Knight of Cups reversed. I feel there's someone else who's suffered in this. I think it's coming up as the Page of Wands here. I think it's someone who's gone through exactly what you've gone through. Like you're here, like you're kind of now starting to sort of decide that you want to do something. This is someone who's gone through a similar thing sometime before. So there's something quite ingrained in this environment that is unfair, or this family, or whatever this is, this friendship circle. There's someone else who has also not got what they wanted and they should have got. And there's a kind of like their understanding of this and there's ideas about it, and your passion are a really strong connection that could make this move forward. But again, they are very wary of emotional stuff as well too. So that's why it's saying let go of emotion. It's like you need to do a meeting of the minds with this person, but someone else has dealt with this before. So if this is in a workplace or something like that and you've been passed over because, I don't know, for some immutable characteristic, your gender, your race, something like that. I mean, it's something that's absolutely wrong. You will be able to find someone else who's had the same thing happen to them. And they may already have been burnt by emotional stuff, or they may be somebody who's quite dispassionate. I think you're very passionate about things. And your passion is important, but they bring a kind of intellectual thing as well. This is saying that you're going to be able to find an ally who's had this happen to them as well. And if it is around love or something like that, then these people who badmouthed you, they've done it to someone else. This is not new. You can actually find your sort of comrades in arms by finding the others that these people have done it. They're good at what they do because they do it a lot, but equally that means that there are others that you can connect with. So you can do this, but you can also find a really strong ally as well. So let's give you some sort of guidance in doing this. So let's have a look at your personal magic. So what kind of magic, whether it's spiritual power or just a kind of representation on a magical level, will really help you find what you're seeking. And I think you're seeking two things here. You're seeking this person, I think. You're seeking someone else who would understand this. They're kind of like a doorway to the rest of it, because it almost validates what's occurred. But then you want to seek rectification, I think, which I think is saying you should be able to do. So, in fact, I'm getting, with the Tower reverse, there's a saying, and I can't remember what it is in Latin, but it effectively means, let justice be served though the heavens fall. And it basically says that the just thing should come out in the end, even if even heaven or the citadels or whatever of the world, the powers of the world fell, justice must prevail. And I feel like there is a real energy of this for you. So your magic, a couple of cards around your personal magic that will help you with this. Move, just getting on with it. Now, this could be literally also sort of like getting it within your body, like feeling it within your body, because you might be quite detached on the emotional and mental sense, getting it into your body, getting into a rhythm. But I think it's also just saying, just acting, just moving forward, not letting this stop you, not letting this sort of like, halt your tracks. Move on, almost as though this judgment did not matter. And because it gives that sense of dynamism, that you're not to be bowed or broken by this. And listen. Yeah, okay, so moving, keeping on moving, listen, I think it's to find this other person. Someone else in this situation or around people or connections or whatever that you have, you're going to hear about it if you haven't already. And I think you probably haven't already because this is what's unseen. Listen for where other people, say things or whatever that show that there is some understanding about how illusory this is. These people have made lots of enemies and will continue to make enemies. So for you, you can hopefully find the friends. That whole thing about the friend, what is it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's kind of like that. Okay, so what we're also going to ask is for a dream image and also for an oracular sort of energy. So these are things to sort of watch, like in your kind of clear senses and that kind of thing, or just even like synchronicities when we're talking about the oracular thing, something that would probably show up in a way around your 3D world, but also in the dream world, what you might dream about or images. So I'm just shuffling till I get one of each card from a deck that does both. So for an oracle, so we're going to start with an oracle. So the goddess. So this talks about embracing the feminine and so forth. So this is less about this kind of distorted masculine thing. It's more about caring, femininity, that kind of thing, nurturing. But there's something here. You may find that there's a goddess that you could particularly align to that would make you feel this is it. I feel like I'm getting things like Mart for justice, in the Egyptian mythology. But any of the goddesses that were about bringing about something better after a bad act, like Isis, after the battle and what happened to Osiris, any of those sort of things. It's like, it's probably something for you to explore for yourself. But I think this is saying there's a goddess energy that you could align to that really gives you that internal perseverance and strength. And then I'll shuffle till I get a dream card. And the dream card is colors and numbers. So pay attention to those sorts of energies within your dream. Numbers, look at it, think about it like angel numbers around, what numbers mean numerologically, timing, any sort of timing sort of like things, dreaming about clocks, but it's also colors. So if you have a very strong, think about the chakra energy I'm feeling here. If you have dreams that have a lot of reds or oranges in it, it might be about you sort of like creating the call for yourself and what you want to create in the world. If you've got lots of blue, it might be time to say this is time to speak your truth with the throat chakra. If it's purple, it might be saying you're getting downloads from the crown chakra. Pay attention to that sort of thing. Also, I'm getting for some of you that sometimes you may dream without colour, and that may almost be also a sign of something where in a sense you're getting really to the less flamboyant side of this, like you're getting, this is very specific, but for some of you this might be a sign that if you dream without colour, that it might be you're getting to the core of it. Because I'm going to the fact that this person has this sort of grey hair, and I'm thinking about the fact that Chokmah, which is the undifferentiated wisdom Sephiroth of the Kabbalah, is grey, and there's this sort of sense of a lack of colour there. The grey is the kind of lack of colour. It's kind of a combination of black and white. So I feel, in black and white, I think, yeah, there may be dreams like that, or that color being strong in a dream to you that is telling you, getting to the core of what this is, to what it is in black and white. So as I say, that's quite specific, that bit, but there's something about your dreams and color and how that operates, which will give you guidance in seeking both your ally, I think, and seeking this sort of righteous justification around this issue. So let's also get you some astrology to guide you as well. Jupiter. Now that's excellent. That suggests that the right will come out, that the bounty will come out, the wheel will turn in your fortune. This is a temporary thing, and the obstacles ultimately that they are put in place are more illusory, and their power becomes less and less able to do this. But this is the bounty and the harvest to come after you finding what you seek. But there is also a warning within Jupiter. Jupiter is all about expansion. So I think this is also important, and this comes back to the sort of sense of not carrying emotion that is going to be overtaking. If any aspect of this is too much and expands too much, it could put you out of balance. So I think you need to have faith that you are going to get this outcome, because this is what Spirit seems to be saying. You're going to find what you seek, so that you don't get overly emotional at any stage. So Jupiter works positively for you. We also have the South Node. There's some old karma that has come up for this. You're the right person to deal with it, and it is something that will pass out of your life. This is about you moving towards your North Node and what your life purpose is. That's why we had the self at the core, the archetype for it. This is actually helping you to detach from old patterns that are no longer true to you. So, there could have been loyalties. You could have had loyalties to some of these people, loyalty to an organisation, loyalty to friends or whatever. But this is something you're moving away from, so you can move towards who you are. And the moon. Yeah, the emotions and what is hidden or what isn't hidden. Now, what's going to work for you, as I say, is that whatever this subterfuge is, it won't stay hidden for long. But it was something that was not what it appeared to be. But if you are moving away from that, you're moving away from that which is illusory towards what is more true to you. Okay, so last but not least, I want to use the Luminous Humanness card, which is to give you a sense of you as an illuminated soul, energy around that when you have found what you seek, which I think is justice. It's ultimately justice. It's all a story, so make it a good one. Yeah. This is ultimately what has been unfair was part of a story or a narrative, and it was illusion. What you're going to do out of this is bring more of the truth up, and then you start to narrate from yourself what goes forward, whether this is a cause you do for others or whether it's a cause for you. They created a narrative. You're creating a new narrative. That's what you're seeking, the new narrative that fits with you, with your cause, with your beliefs. And to do that, you need to sort of move and act, but also listen and make it an interactive thing, and find those who are on a similar path and who can enrich that story. But at the end of the day, that's the detachment you need, and that's also the sovereignty you need, that you are now creating a new story. So you are moving away from this injustice. You are going to achieve that, but you need to now take control of it. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading where connection is necessary was the first sort of idea of what you're seeking. So that very much suggests connection with others in some way. Love, relationships, comrades in arms, collaborators, family connections, spiritual connections. The interesting thing here is I think you're here for a reason. You have a kind of a role. And I think that it's an interest to find the right way and the right connections to do this role is the magic of all of this. And you have a lot of psychic ability and spiritual ability to do it. But this connection is necessary, that the archetype around what you're seeking is the rescuer. I think you do care for and rescue other people. I think you're highly protective, and I think it's part of who you are. And of course, if you are seeking to look who you can protect, you can save, it's kind of a hero quest in a way. You've got to find the right connection. If you put the wrong energy into that, or you deplete your own reserves, then you can't do that. So, and you are meant to do it. It's part of who you are. So I think that Spirit here is showing you the way to do it, the way to find the right connections, the way to be able to live into this archetype in the best way for you and for others. Because, of course, if you rescue the wrong people, you can sometimes actually destabilize them, or you can, throw good energy after bad, so to speak. But if you rescue the right people, then that fulfills some sort of connection, some sort of soul contract that's operating. And it could make your relationships quite complicated. So you need to be aware, because you could have love relationships that have nothing to do with this rescuing energy. Like if you played this out in a job, then that's probably relatively simple. You could be a firefighter, or someone who sort of works for Amnesty International or something like that. But if this is in your personal relationships, then there's always a balance between who are you sort of rescuing and what that role is, and then who are you having the more sort of equal, the relationship of equals. So it's an interesting thing, because you are here to do it, and so it's how to balance that. And in this seeking, there's a lot about understanding the impact of the future. There's something quite prophetic in this, and it's important for you to really listen for the signs. And beyond that, to take the time out to replenish your own batteries, but to always be grateful for what you have, because it's like Spirit is saying, we all have our challenges in life, and I'm sure you do as well, but it's saying in a way that you've come in to do this, so you're always going to, in a sense, probably have your main needs looked after. Like you'll do the work for it, but it's like there won't be blocks in that, because what you're meant to achieve and manifest is necessary for you to be able to help others. So being grateful for that, understanding how that is helping, is important. And it also, if you come from a level of gratitude in what you're seeking in terms of connection, you're more likely to connect with the right people, and not people who have huge chips on their shoulder or huge entitlement issues. So there's a big thing there, and it is saying with tea time, take a break, that you should always have downtime in between this as well too, so that you can assimilate what you've done, so you can be grateful, and so you can be ready to see the next quest, the next thing you're doing, and this is where you need to listen. But you do also, I think, have quite a prophetic sense. You know where the right connections are. So I think it's saying right out from the bat that as long as you stay in that sort of space, that this is something that you're here to do, and something that you have joy in doing, and something you would be grateful for the capacity to have, the kind of foundation to allow yourself to do it. And you then look to the future to sort of see where the best connections are, and the ones who most need it, that will be good for not only you and them, but probably for more than that. There's a very philanthropic, humanitarian feeling about this, actually. That's the energy. You're seeking something there, and you are meant to do something in that space. So let's see a little bit more detail. So we're going to ask Tarot for a bit more detail about what you're expressly seeking at the moment. Then we're going to ask what you do see at the moment about it, and then also what you don't see. So a little bit more to give us an idea how this sort of soul contract life path thing, I think, is playing out. The Tower. The Five of Wands reversed. Justice reversed. Wow, okay. The Moon reversed. The Knight of Wands reversed. All right, okay. So this makes this a little bit heavier, I have to say. Now, I do think, as I say, that you're meant to take time out and be grateful for the skills that you have. And I do think you have a prophetic idea about what's coming. You can sense issues well before they hit. But this is a complicated situation by the looks of things. With Justice reversed, with the Five of Wands reversed, with the Knight of Wands reversed, with the Moon reversed, there is something that you are seeing where you are seeking, I think a very big change is occurring. So let's just use an example, and it doesn't have to be. Let's say that you have a prophetic sense, you're looking at the world, you're seeing the major changes that are happening economically and politically, and the more prophetic people in the world will be seeing that at this point in time. So it's a good example. Major changes coming. Old systems are breaking down. At the moment that a lot of people aren't even prepared to look at the energy. There's a denial of this going on at the moment. And that's letting a lot of unjust things come through, a lot of subterranean things come through, though more and more is coming to the light about that. But it's stopping progress. It's kind of like it's stopping stopping creativity and everything. Everything is kind of getting caught up in this kind of vortex, which I think is like the moon. What more and more and more is coming up. People are seeing more and more and more. You're hearing and seeing more and more and more. But there's something very fundamentally unjust. So this is just an example, but it really fits with the energy that we're dealing with at the moment in the world. So I think a lot of you have a cause that is about rescuing people, helping people, being able to set them towards the future again, hearing what's really going on and showing people how to be grateful for what they have because there's a lot that's at stake here. Now, it could be at a lower level than that. It could be going on in a workplace. It could be going on with friends. It could be going on in a relationship. But there's a very fundamental change and you know it's coming. And you know that some people will suffer out of this and they're not ready to see it. But you are trying to find the way to gradually bring that up in a way that they can deal and they can move forward. So, yeah, it's quite big, actually. So let's see what you do know about this at the moment. Seven of Pentacles reversed. Temperance reversed. Wow. Ace of Wands. Knight of Cups reversed. Well, you know you can't be overly sentimental about this. You also know that change is inevitable. There's a system, there's connections, there's a work organisation, there's a job. There's something that is no longer returning on investments. It has to shift. Shift has to happen. Whether or not it's being calibrated in a just way at the moment is another matter, but it has to happen, and you know you have to be unsentimental about it. You know you need to sort of take action. Something new is necessary, and you also know that it's going to be you that has to do it because everybody else is going to be losing their heads. They're just going to be not able to sort of balance this off. So you know how sort of full on this energy is. So what don't you see? Because you see a lot more, and you're prepared to see a lot more than most people will see. Six of Cups reversed. The World. Eight of Cups reversed. Eight of Swords. Okay. So what you're not seeing potentially, I think, because you are in the rescue mode, you can see what the issue is, you're kind of really focused on the future and what to do. You're maybe not fully appreciating how much people still have huge emotional connections to the past. This is why they're finding it hard to see this happening. This is why they're in denial. You can see that things are completing, but like other people can't. Other people haven't got to that point where they could go, okay, the old system is changing. Now what can we construct? And of course, what you sort of see and know in that, I think, is that if people don't understand that, it's very easy for them to be manipulated or pushed into something that suits something other than their best interest. But you're maybe underestimating a bit here how much people are emotionally tied to the past. How there's a kind of, how it's got them stuck. This is why it's important with the ear to listen, to hear, because you are ahead, and you can see the way out of this, or at least you can see a better outcome. You can see how to help people, but it's a bit like you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. This is the thing to understand, the emotional blockages that are occurring with people with this change, how much their world is completely consumed by outdated emotional stuff, and it's a huge anxiety thing for them to deal with. This is why connection is necessary, and you need to honor and be grateful for the emotional stuff. It's kind of like you have to be a little bit sentimental with people, but you need to get them focused to the future, because at the moment they're really stuck in the past. So it's not easy. You've got a big task here, pile 2. So let's have a look at what some signposts are that could help you. So we're going to start firstly with your own personal magic, how your own personal magic can help you in what you're seeking here. Glamour magic. And that's interesting. So it's a dual thing. Part of this is, like what we think of, as glamour, as being sort of like the way we present ourselves, as being very alluring, as charisma. There's something there that you have that you can draw people in. So that is something that you can use. But equally, glamour magic in its beginnings, which was kind of connected to the Fae, was the concept of not being seen, being invisible when it was necessary. So I think that this is part of what you can do, and part of the reason why you will be good at this is you can be seen when it's necessary to be seen, and almost go behind the scenes And that's interesting with the ear turning up, actually. It's like that capacity to hear what's going on because people haven't even noticed, and they will tell you things because they don't even realize that you're listening. I have a friend who has incredibly good hearing, and she says when she sits in cafes, sometimes, she might be reading a book or whatever, but she will hear 2 or 3, tables away somebody's conversation, and she always thinks it's amazing what people talk about when they don't think anybody can hear it because of the general sort of like way that sound operates in a cafe. But she's just got very acute hearing. So I think there's something in here, like you sometimes can melt into the background and hear things and know things that other people don't have. Like on a fighting the big fight, the spiritual warfare, or the political warfare, it's almost a little bit like being able to be a hacker or something and not be seen when you're finding out things. So there's something there about how you present yourself, and also how you can slip into the background and just sort of listen and see what's going on. And healing. You have a healing nature, so you can help with this once you understand it. I think this is the thing that you hadn't really seen. To you, this seems self-evident. Whatever this issue is, whatever the future is bringing, whatever systems are failing, whatever is wrong that you want to rescue with people, it's pretty self-evident to you. But I think there's also the capacity to heal people when you realise that they have a huge emotional thing associated with it. And once you understand that, you're much more able to sort of bring this forward. So let's also look at some signs for you. So we're going to look at both an oracle card, which is sort of almost something you might see in the 3D world, sort of saying in your waking world, that could be a help for you or a sign that you're sort of on the right path. And we're also going to see what dream imagery might bring you. So I'm just going to shuffle firstly till I get an oracle card. And this one, courage and boldness. Step into courage despite your fears. Be willing to take a risk in order to gain more. So yeah, I think this is, you are very courageous. And I think that's the thing to make very avert. I think that's what we're getting with the oracle. You use your oracular ability in a courageous way, in being bold, because you're going to need to be courageous for other people for a while. I also think we see the owl there. I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you do. And an owl may be a spirit guide for you. Okay, and then dream imagery that might be important to you. Just shuffling till I get a dream card coming up to the top. Wow, it's hiding away. The dream imagery is hiding. Here we go. Games. Oh, that kind of makes sense. You're probably dreaming about all of this. It's very in your head, actually. This is why you have to understand the heart side of things with other people. To you, it is a strategic game, and you may dream about games or mind games, anything like that. You might have kind of like puns operating within sort of things, or symbols that sort of like represent something for you to kind of almost work out, like a strategy or a game. But there's something, and your dreams probably will show some of the elements, the kind of prophetic elements about what's going on in this environment that you're in. So trust that, because you're very dialed in terms of your sort of psychic senses. Let's see what we have astrologically to guide you. Aries, okay, this is the courage. Be bold, move forward, take action. You are a leader. You see to the future. You are a leader. This is something that you're meant to do. You're rescuing people from something awful, but you are ultimately a leader in doing it. And you're probably the first person to see the thing too. Aries, are usually kind of first off the starting post, so to speak, in things. We have Earth. There's something very earthy. There's something very about material things involved here. I think you can also ground people, because, as I say, there's a lot of emotional sort of denial operating in this environment. And sixth house. Yeah, for most of you, this is about work in some way, day-to-day work. It could also be that this is the way that you serve others. It's your vocation to serve others. Mercury also is the planet for the sixth house, so your communication skills, again, your capacity to communicate a message is going to be very important. Okay, so to close out, you've got a big task here. What you're seeking is big. I just wanted to pull a card from the Luminous Humanness deck, which is about kind of like our illuminated selves. So see what you can be reaching once you sort of really reach what you seek here, pile 2. Give us this day our daily cake. Okay, that's kind of cool. Like this, I think, is the saying. You'll have a really like gratitude. You'll have something really lovely coming out of this for you and for others. But I also think this is like that kind of concept of give us this day our daily bread is like the sustenance of all. And like if you are a protective sort of person, and I think you are, you would want to think people have a roof over their heads, they have food in their bellies, and that they maybe get to something that is a bit sweeter. I think this is saying you can rescue others, and this is what you're here to do, and you can bring something where there is more sweetness for all. So that's very lovely, and I think the world needs people like you. So I hope that this resonates. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share, I'd love to hear in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Have Faith, and it's very interesting, as I said in the introduction. This could be spiritual faith, it could be faith in yourself, it could be faith in others. There's probably a bit of all of this in this, but one of the things that really struck me was this concept of a child's hand reaching out to maybe some intergalactic sort of guide. And it's very interesting that what connects to this is seeing the patterns, so the higher view order of things, and then love your inner child. So I think you're seeking how to have faith again in something very core to you, something that maybe was hurt, because we have betrayal here as something, a stab in the back, and to be able to be true to yourself, because we've got remove masks operating, and then the sort of archetype energy to head towards is the sensualist. This feels to me like one of two things is operating. It's either having faith in how you love and who you love, maybe after a betrayal, maybe after being misunderstood within your family, maybe after feeling different in some way, maybe your preferences or your gender identity or something like that. So that's a possibility. The other possibility is that this is about regaining faith in the sort of balance of your sort of material love and your sort of spiritual love, where possibly that hasn't balanced well before, and people haven't understood, and you've been misunderstood around that. You felt like you had to be different to who you were, and this is like seeing the patterns from this higher order perspective so that you can heal the inner child. But this is something that mattered to you very much when you were young, and is now playing out, I think, very much in how you love and how you connect and what the sensual world is to you. But you felt you had to mask it or whatever, and you've been hurt if you felt that you were showing it more. So there's sort of something here about reclaiming that faith in yourself and how you want to connect to the world. And this is saying that there's patterns that you can understand, I think, to avoid that and to be able to move away from feeling like you're always having to hide away a bit, to connect back in. There's patterns in all of this that you can learn about. So let's see a little bit more about what you're seeking right now to bring that faith back for you, to move out of this energy where I think you felt you couldn't be true to yourself, and how you can really connect with the world on all kind of physical levels in a way that is right for you. So we'll get a little bit more about what this is really about. We're then going to look at what you do see already, and then we're going to look at what you don't see in your search. So it's maybe to get a bit more of a sense about what this is really all about. Queen of Pentacles reversed, the Five of Pentacles reversed, the King of Wands reversed, wow, the Two of Swords, the Queen of Cups. Okay. I think for a lot of you, this goes back to, I'm going to talk about it first as it does, because we've got the inner child. I think for a lot of you, this goes back to childhood. This goes back to a sense of having to fit in with probably quite sort of like bossy energies from your parents, and or ones where everything was conditional. Like this is what it feels like to not feel alone within your family. Everything was conditional. You had to go with the sort of ego and ideas of one parent, and you had the other one was like you never felt really secure. Like this feels like, if you're talking about the inner child never felt really secure and desperately did not want to be alone, never felt really secure. As a result, it was hard for you to make decisions that were true to you emotionally. You were always trying to sort of fit in with sort of inconstant energy. And that could happen for any number of reasons. It could have been that, your parents broke up and you were kind of always going between them and almost being used as a pawn between whatever was going on with them. Or it could be, as I say, there was sort of like my way or the highway with one, and another that never felt constant, never felt like they were there. There's something in all of that. And and how it was hard for you to decide what you even emotionally felt in this situation. This is why you've got to get back to loving your inner child. You've got to make that decision. This is what you're seeking, is the way back to your emotional maturity now that you're older. But there's this pattern. This is what you need to understand, this pattern, because that's affecting how you connect with the world, how you can love. And I think there's something very heavy here. So if it wasn't something that was happening in your childhood around your parents, then you've been around some really manipulative and inconstant people, like in relationships or whatever. There's been a lot of suppression of who you were, but and you were constantly not wanting to be alone, but like, wow, you were never going to be able to do anything. There was always going to be this betrayal energy. It's sort of like it wouldn't have mattered what you did. And this is what it's saying, like, being true to yourself is the main thing to do, to connect back to yourself, because this is not, if this is a family or if this is friends or if this is lovers that are around you at the moment, or if it's a workplace, whatever it might be, you can't win with this energy. This is why you have to move forward and go, you know what, I'm going to be true to myself. This is a pattern. It's a pattern that's been happening quite a lot for you. And it's really destroyed faith in who you are. But you really are on the right track. This energy that's been around you is a betrayal energy. It's not a good energy. And it's made you hide and not love what was true to yourself. But this is the pattern. Once you see the pattern, it's almost like the power of it disappears. It's like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Once the curtain is pulled back and you see almost the kind of way it's been done, it can no longer do it. So let's see what you do see at the moment around this. Eight of Swords reversed. The Emperor reversed. Six of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles. Okay. I do think, because I think this is mainly around personal relationships. So, you could read the Emperor reverse in a workplace. I mean, it could be in a workplace, but I think this is actually, maybe some of the patterns show up in a workplace, but I think this is mainly around relationships. There's definitely something about what I would call the primary male energy here. So if it's in relationships that you're in, and this doesn't matter what your gender is or the gender of the other person, there is a kind of a very dictatorial, there's a pattern around bringing in and being trapped by very, very bossy, very, very, the wrong use of power kind of energy. And if this is around a parent, it was probably your father, though, it could be, there could have been a bit of role reversal in how that operated with your parents. It's the dominating force, and that, that you've seen that pattern, you understand that, and you have understood how that kept you mentally trapped. But you felt that you were always beholden to this. So it could even be that if this is your father, for instance, or a parent like that, that you are still feeling that you're kind of materially beholden to them. So this is something you need to work out, how you're going to move separate. You may even think you have to betray them to really be free. But there's a kind of a sense where there was sort of conditions all the way with this. And as I say, with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, whether that was a sort of more female energy or whether it's just another aspect of this, it wouldn't have mattered. This was a very volatile energy around you, but it's a pattern. And I think you keep bringing this pattern in. This is why it's talking about it. And it's where you give power to others to decide who you are, what you could have, what you do in your career, any of those things. It's saying that you do know, you're starting to see that you have the skills. You don't have to do that. So it may even be that you've reached a point where you've done some education, you've started to do a career, and you're starting to realize the patterns, and you're starting to be able to separate out from that dominating energy. So this is you finding faith in your skills, in your emotion, and making that sort of a decision after quite a suppressive energy. So let's see what you don't see at the moment. Ace of Pentacles reversed. Page of Pentacles reversed. Two of Pentacles. 10 of Cups. Okay, all right. For a start, this is saying, in you finding faith and loving your inner child and seeing the patterns, the real key message here is shifting out of a almost employee mindset. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be, this could be, as I say, a parent or something like that, but it's out of a sense where someone else holds the purse string, someone else holds the resources, someone else is the boss, to you finding what would make you happy, using your skills, making that choice. You haven't yet seen you can do that. But this is why they're saying to find the faith in yourself, you have to see the patterns so that you understand what you can now rise above. And there's two patterns to see. There's the pattern that enslaved you, And there's the pattern that you have been developing that's going to free you, which is, true happiness, true emotional sort of connection, true sensual feeling of loving the earth and loving yourself and loving who you love. Yeah, and that's sort of like the skills that you have in the emotional development, like this is actually, hard though it has been, accelerated your emotional development a lot. You just need to realize that and make that material choice, because at the moment you're not allowing yourself to make that choice. It's all there, but you're not even planning for it. So this is the thing. It's like the liberation of yourself, I think materially in some way, in some material way, is the thing that leads to your happiness, because then you will be able to do what you want to do. Otherwise, so if you are sort of someone who relies on, like a particular patron at the workplace who's very difficult to deal with, or you rely on a parent for sort of something financially, you are more than capable of doing this yourself. And this is the only way that you're going to find the faith in yourself, connect really to what you love and heal these energies. But you have to see the pattern, and you have to see that you probably, if this was from childhood, you couldn't help it when you were a child. So don't be upset with your inner child, but now you're an adult and now you're ready, and that's the other pattern to see. So let's have a look at how your personal magical power can help you with this, pile 3. Mediumship. So this is a connection with sort of other energies. So it could be, if there was issues around the family, there might be sort of like, you might literally be a medium and be able to connect to ancestors and so forth that can give you a better perspective on this. Otherwise, I think it is just that sort of sense of understanding the sort of processes, in the way that like mediums can look at like the energy after somebody dies and so forth, beginnings and endings. I think it's understanding that sort of thing. And listening. Yeah, I think listen internally here. I think this isn't so much listening externally, it's listening internally to find the patterns and to find your heart and to find how much you have actually developed, because you have. This is the thing. Have faith in yourself. Let's see what some signs could be. So we're going to use a deck that has oracles and dream imagery. So we're just going to shuffle. I'm going to shuffle first to get an oracle card. So something that might be more visible, or something that you see synchronistically in the material world, or an energy that you can really enact in the material world. And we have empowerment. Perfect. This is all about empowerment. And that's about having faith in yourself and what you want, sort of very materially, and about love and caring in life. Empower yourself. So any kind of symbolism, any kind of energy that makes you feel empowered is something to focus on. And then in terms of what to watch out for in dream imagery, just shuffling until a dream card comes up. And this one is vehicles, car. Do you know where you want to go in life? Do you feel in control of your life plans? Okay, yeah, this is very much a bit like having the Chariot card in the tarot. This is about what is your destiny, what is your direction. You need to take the steering wheel. You need to feel empowered to take the steering wheel. And like dreams of cars and so forth, dreams of travel in some way, I think is a very good sign that you're starting to move in that direction and you're taking control. So I say literally. If you had a dream where you were sitting in the passenger seat, if you can do any kind of lucid dreaming to shift the dream so that you're driving, that would be very, very helpful. Okay, let's get you some astrology also to help you. Pile 3. Pluto. There's a lot of power in you, but there's been a lot of power that needs to be dealt with as well. Tarot card is judgment. It's the calling. There's a calling now to become into your own power, but there's a revolution almost that needs to happen to do this. The 10th house. I think that the patterns of this probably started in childhood or around friends or something like that, or educational things, but it's going to play out in your material world. This is why the material choices are so important. You're meant to sort of really bring in what you want to do and to be a leader and to make a real impact kind of in the world, in your world and in your career around this. This is why it's important, it's important for you not just to heal emotionally, but to really realize all that you could be and to have the independence I think you need to have. And Venus, it will play out around love as well too. So I think this is, and that's why we had the sensualist. And it may even say that once you're really on your path in your career, the real love that you want to bring in and how you want to love will be able to come in. But you've got to go through the revolution first. Create your value in the world, your sense of your own independence, your own structure, your own faith in yourself. Then you can allow the healing with the love and so forth. So the last card I wanted to pull was from a deck called Luminous, Humanness. So it's really about kind of what we can achieve when we find what we seek, when we're an illuminated being. So let's see what Spirit wants to show you. It's interesting. This came up for one of the others, so you might have had a connection between it, but I think it's actually very apropos here too. It's all a story, so make it a good one. See the patterns, understand the story, and this is a redemptive story. This is a story of the hero. This is the story who rises above the odds, who heals the inner self, who becomes truly who they are. This is a quest of you becoming who you are and being materially independent so that you can also be independent in the way that you love. So this is your story. Get in the driver's seat, become the narrative. There's been too much control over this before, but once you see the patterns, and this happened in a time where you couldn't have helped it, so don't give yourself a hard time. But there are other guides and other connections that want you to come into your power and into your strength, Pile 3. So move forward with confidence. I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share, I'd love to hear in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.